Welcome to the Wander Podcast. I'm your host, Gracie Hins. If you're new here, we're a podcast dedicated to sharing the story of the outdoor spaces and places that we love, including conversations with athletes, creatives, and anyone else that I think has an interesting story. Today, I sit down with founders Madison Hilson and Tina Thompson of SENIQ, a new women's outdoor apparel brand designed by women for women. Personally, I've been seeing SENIQ come up on my Instagram, and they just came out with a new ski collection, and I was absolutely struck the design and just heart that seems like it has gone into this. In this conversation, Madison and Tina take me through the origin stories of SENIQ, where they found their love for the mountains and what it has done for them, including the mental health benefits that being outside brings to all of us, and how taking the scenic route really does embody savoring the journey and how everyone can kind of be a part of that. Without further ado, here is the conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. The first question that I kind of just like to start out with is if you can introduce yourselves and kind of tell people what you spend most of your time doing.
So I'm Tina Thompson, co-founder of SENIQ, and what do I spend my days doing? I would say the days are pretty focused on building innovative product that solves female problems with product solutions. So really helping to head up the design and the products of SENIQ, and then also really focused on building the brand and the visual world and the social media universe of SENIQ and all of our marketing channels that we touch. So pretty focused on product and marketing over here, as well as so many other random things, but those are like the overarching summaries.
Madison Hilson. I'm the other co-founder of SENIQ, and I spend most of my day in the operations, financial, and wholesale side of the business. And again, a million random other little things, but those are the focuses.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the reality of being a small business. It's not like you do one thing. You're doing about every single thing and figuring out what you're good at and what you don't like doing. Okay, I kind of want to just hear the backstory of like your guys' friendship. Like, why decide to start a business together?
We went actually to the same high school and went to the same college. Didn't really get close until we started our first jobs, though, at Victoria's Secret, where we were on the sport team in the merchandising department. And it was our first taste of working in performance apparel, and we totally caught the performance and athletic bug. And from there, we both went to a few different types of companies. I went into jewelry. Tina did a little jump over to Outdoor Voices. And then we met back up at Backcountry in Salt Lake City, which was unreal. It was our first time living in the mountains and being exposed to the ability to get on trail every single day. So we were instantly obsessed and hooked. And it was really there that we started kind of ideating on our business dreams. But also, let me back up. We also had at Victoria's Secret, I remember we would sit in my living room and just toss around different business ideas, like even before that. Like I think we threw around like a swimwear brand and other funny things. So we always kind of had this idea of starting a business together. But then once we found ourselves in Salt Lake, that's when it really clicked. Like, okay, this is the time to do it.
So yeah, Maddie and I have known each other for over a decade now. And yeah, we have always both had these entrepreneurial spirits, and that we started our careers in merchandising, which is quite an entrepreneurial function within a larger corporation. As a merchant, you're really tasked of being this team leader that kind of builds a vision and gets all of the cross-functional teams on board with your vision. So we had a little bit of practice building brands and strategies and vision within other companies and learning on other people's dollar, which I would highly recommend to any aspiring entrepreneur. And yeah, we really moved out to Utah together. We didn't know anyone else other than each other and got so close out there and fell in love with hiking exclusively. I was Maddie grew up skiing, so the experience of skiing wasn't necessarily new for her, but I think really getting to experience hiking year round in Utah was so eye-opening, and we really learned how beneficial the outdoors is for your mental health. So when we moved out there, it was a few years after COVID, and it was that time when like everyone was trying to make up for lost time. We were like working hard, playing hard, like it felt like like life had turned the volume up somewhat because it had been so chill during COVID, and we were pretty burnt out, and realized that we started using our hikes more for our minds than our bodies. And we started calling our hikes therapy hikes. And whether it was like we were just getting out there just to like reset and get away from the world, or like we literally were swapping notes from our therapy sessions and like kind of co-learning from each other, um, it just became obvious to us that that was the most important end use of the outdoors for us. And we didn't feel like there was a brand in the outdoor industry that was speaking to that end use. And we really wanted to build a brand that empowered women to prioritize their mental health, because a lot of forces in life that I think do the opposite for us. We're constantly being demanded of and pulled in so many different directions. And we wanted to make space and products and a brand where, yeah, I think like mental health and putting women first is the key focus and priority.
Yeah, I also just feel like it's so interesting since both of you had the experience at Backcountry, and then Tina, you were also at Outdoor Voices. I would love to kind of just like hear some of the takeaways that you had from that experience, and maybe some of the things too that you didn't feel like these brands were quite meeting.
Yeah. So, I mean, Outdoor Voices is like my soul brand. I've been a brand fan since day one, and like, that is, I think, my biggest takeaway from that experience was like you can really build a brand with a soul. And I think, yeah, truly by connecting offline with community is how to do that. So I think that's been a huge part of our strategy at Scenic, is not only prioritizing building really fun content and experiences online, but also building experiences offline to connect. And then Backcountry, there was like in so many learnings for both Maddie and I in so many different ways. But when I took the role at Backcountry, I started working on a team that didn't have a dedicated design team. So it was my first experience getting to actually develop product as a merchant, which is quite unique and not common. So after getting that experience, it gave me the confidence that we can really do this. And I came to Maddie and was like, okay, like I think I have a good idea of how we can actually develop some products. Like it's not as scary as I had once thought without being in the weeds, in the mud of it. So that was a huge experience, like just personal skill set that I had acquired from that experience. And then like macro learning wise, I mean, Maddie and I were watching the business and analyzing it because it was a part of our jobs. And it was obvious like the OG outdoor brands were not able to communicate, build products, or really like tap into this new girl who was getting outdoors. And you could see it in the sales trends, you could see it in some of the more like cultural building, community building ways. And it was pretty obvious that like COVID had COVID happened and there was a record high amount of people getting outdoors, and most of those people were getting outdoors for the first time ever, and they came to the outdoors with a totally different expectation of product than what was available on the market, and there just wasn't product in the market that performed at a high level, was technical, but also fit their aesthetic needs and was versatile enough to live in like mix and match with their ready to wear closet. So like a lot of newer girls, I would say, in the 20 to 30 range who are getting outdoors. The outdoors is an important part of her life, but it's not her entire personality. She has so many other interests and she's so dynamic. And so she really needs her gear to not only work on trail, but also like work at the brewery after, or be able to be taken to the office, or just truly building in more versatility into the garment. So there were so many unlocks of the product that we were craving.
Yeah. No, I love that aspect of it, of like the versatility. And like I feel like that's something that like I've totally personally struggled with, of like,
Yeah.
how can you go from, going on like a run or getting ready for that, but like, oh, I need to like go out and meet friends and like maybe go to a meeting,
Yeah.
And like how can that all be the same outfit to an extent? So when you were building out kind of like, because how many like different launches have you had at this point? Is this like
Yeah.
three
Yes,
kind
it is.
of?
So we launched the brand in March of 2024 with our hike collection and sold out quicker than we expected. We thought we bought enough inventory that would last us through the rest of the year. But I think like launch day, we had like a 30 or 40% sell through on that initial round of stock. So we pretty quickly chased a new colorway of some of the best selling styles from that first drop and launched that in July of last year, sort of as like a high summer, early fall hike capsule. And then we launched our ski collection in October last year. So that would have been our third launch. And then this year we've launched our hike collection and our ski collection now. So we're almost up to like 5 or 6
Oh my
with
gosh.
some
Well, and then
color.
there's a climb collection in there as well.
Yeah. So last spring, like this past spring in 25 was this like hike climb hybrid capsule.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super, super fun. Okay,
Yeah.
Maddie, you're back. I want to hear your side of kind of like the five different launches. And yeah, like highs and lows also affiliated with some of these, of like the first launch, I imagine that's absolutely terrifying. And like, where was a lot of the customer base coming from on that first launch?
Oh, friends and family were mainly.
Yeah.
Well, no, I actually calced this out. It was
Oh,
only friends and family was only 15% of our orders,
oh wow.
For
um,
when?
for like the launch week.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of them, it was kind of sporadic. Like we had quite a bit in New York off the bat, like Brooklyn area specifically, a bit out in Colorado, definitely Ohio, where we're from, of course, even just word of mouth with that. But yeah, it was kind of sporadic, and it was really just people who had discovered us on Instagram leading up to the launch. But yeah, we were terrified going into launch day, like absolutely terrified. And then we started getting orders, and I was sobbing the entire time because it blew our minds. So that was definitely a high. It was the first day, but a low that I always laugh about is we had no idea how to do paid marketing. So
Mm.
once the initial buzz was over from the launch, our sales like dead stopped for a couple weeks, and we were like, "Oh my God, what's going on? We don't have a business. How are we gonna get through this inventory?" We were freaking out. And then once we kind of learned some new marketing strategies, we were able to get um, the machine rolling again. But that was definitely like a like I'm choking moment.
Mhm. What were some of those marketing strategies that you learned after?
It really was utilizing Meta for paid marketing. So getting
Mm-hmm.
ads out there, which can help broaden your reach, get your brand in front of new eyeballs, new customers. So that was super beneficial because, it's really hard to grow organically at the rate that we wanted to on social media, which we definitely had a lot of organic growth and buzz. But I think for how fast we wanted to grow the business, we really needed to prioritize getting in front of as many gals as possible. So that was a big, big unlock for us.
Yeah, the meta ads go a long ways.
Yeah. And what we found too is like sometimes it's even girls who have already heard of us, but it's just they're seeing us more in their
Yeah,
feed. So it's
absolutely.
just a reminder of, hey, we're here and we have awesome new product that we would love for you to try. So it's kind of just getting in front of people multiple times.
Well, and now you're in REI, Evo, and Backcountry, right? Like that's massive. When did you like, I mean, I imagine that that was always the like, okay, we wanted to get like into retailers as soon as possible, but like, yeah, how did that all kind of start to come about? And like, how challenging is it to get into a retailer like that?
Yeah, it's really challenging. I think, especially when you don't have many sales behind you and you haven't built up the credibility yet. So we really had to be able to share our product and our vision and be able to stand confidently behind our product, allowing buyers to try it out. Um, and that sort of thing and wear test. So it kind of varied by retailer, but I think since we had some connections from the industry, that was definitely part of it. And then the other part was just not taking no for an answer. I think Tina emailed the REI buyer like 30 times and was like, well, I'm just going to send you a sample. So it was a little bit of both of those things.
Yeah. What was the sample that you sent over?
It was our trail mix pant. And the buyer wouldn't take a meeting with us prior to getting the pant. And then we get an email, like it was honestly like 3 days after it delivered. It was pretty quick. And she was like, okay, love it so much. Let's get on a call. I want to learn more. And that by no means was like the moment she wrote an order. Like if there was such a journey after that. It takes so much time to like build these relationships and actually confirm a purchase order. But that was a pretty cool experience. Yeah, just to kind of like realize that even without direct connections at REI, it's possible to find a way through a back door and get your product in front of the decision maker to actually get an order. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's huge. And I think it's something too that right now, I think you do have kind of like, it's like you can almost build a brand just based on social media. But I
yeah.
think like seeing like, okay, like you guys are still new, but like now it's also getting that push of like, yeah, we want people to be able to try it on in these bigger stores and like have that credibility. And so yeah, I feel like that's cool and very differentiating.
Yeah. And yeah, it's everything for a new brand. Like being able to try on the product is really what seals the deal. It's like, yeah, it's some of Maddie and I's favorite parts of this brand building experience is actually getting out to doors and telling the story and seeing girls try these garments on that actually fit and actually solve their problems. And like there's just like the minute someone pulls on the trail mix pant, like their whole aura really changes. Because there's so much confidence that comes from great fitting garments, and there's not many great fitting garments in the market.
With the hiking collection in particular too, like I mean it sounds like it's just coming from this like supernatural like place of like this is something that we are prioritizing just being outside for us rather than trying to kind of like hit these other standards or whatever it is that like we kind of have like caught in the back of our mind when it comes to being outside. I imagine that also goes into the name Scenic. I'd love to hear how you guys landed on that.
Yes, the name. I read so many stories about founders trying to name their brand, and I've like most of the stories I read, it takes them like I've heard on average like a year. So I actually think ours came quicker
It was
than
like a month.
yeah, it was pretty quick. But the story is so Maddie and I were living in Utah. It was Utah's snowiest winter, like one of the snowiest on record.
Was this the
And
2022 season?
yes,
Yeah, it was a good year to be in Salt Lake.
it was. Like I
It was amazing.
think every day was like a powder day.
Yeah.
Literally.
And I had just experienced my first ever ACL repair surgery, so I could not snowboard that winter.
Wait, how did you tear the ACL?
I tried skiing for the first time,
Oh my
and
gosh.
within my first 5 minutes on skis, I tore every ligament in my knee. Yeah,
Holy cow. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I should have taken a lesson. That was me being stupid, incompetent, and dumb. But anyways, so it was this insane winter. I was like, my mental health was crumbling truly for so many reasons, but mainly because I wasn't able to move my body. And also had just moved out to Utah relatively recently and wasn't able to experience what the beauty that was going on that winter. So there was a really vivid day where I was really low. I remember I like had this couch that faced the Wasatch Mountains and I was just like sitting on the couch unable to walk, just looking at the mountains, like feeling bad for myself. And then I had like this out of body experience and sort of started coaching myself a bit and was like, okay, you can either feel bad for yourself, or you can try to enjoy this moment because, like, when in life are you ever going to get the opportunity to be so still and so slow and intentional? And like the verbiage that came to mind was like you can try to take the scenic route through this experience. And the minute that that word scenic route was visualized, I texted Maddie, and we still have the text records, but I was like, what if we named the brand Scenic? No, Scenic Route. I was like, what if we named the brand Scenic Route? And she responded immediately and was like, oh my God, I love it. What if it's just scenic? So that was kind of this perfect word that tells, I think, the brand mission in a really short way, because taking the scenic route is all about being intentional, enjoying the experience, hopefully like recharging and resetting and focusing on not just the physical triumphs of being outdoors, but also the mental benefits. So it felt like the perfect name.
I love it. It's also just like so I think it's like the perfect length word. Like that's I feel like when you have those brands it's just like, oh, like if you can just kind of like it's a little bit punchy and fun. Okay, Madison, so you said that you were the one you grew up skiing.
Yes.
Yes. So how are you feeling about all of like the snow gear? Like are you pushing that? Like I really want to hear more about the snow and kind of like your guys' vision with it.
Yeah, it's really funny. So when we first were starting the brand, we were really dead set on trail, like hike specifically being our main product category. And then because that's what we were doing the most of, I would say, together out west when we were out in Salt Lake. And then as we were thinking about what we wanted for our next collection, we started tossing around the idea of doing ski. And we both were such big fans. Like we loved snowboarding and skiing out in Utah. And unfortunately, we didn't have time to do it together because of your knee, but we both loved it. And we still felt like there was so much product opportunity and innovation up for grabs within the ski world specifically. And we both were really passionate about it. So we decided to just go for it. And everyone told us we were crazy to not do it, too soon to move product categories, too soon to bring in newness, all the things. And it was one of those moments where we just had to trust our gut and our vision and just go for it. And we had like immediate ideas for what we wanted out of our first snow collection. So we went for it and it sold out by the end of the season and gave us more confidence to put some more, emphasis behind also being a snow brand. Um, so we were very excited and encouraged by the first launch, but the second launch that just happened, was it this week? It was this week.
Just
That's
very
crazy.
recently. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Like what year are we in?
I don't know.
But it was the response for this collection launch, I think now that we have a bit more history behind us, a little bit more brand awareness, like we were blown away. We beat our best sales month in 1 day of sales from
That's
this ski
insane.
launch. And we're about 80% sold through of it already in the first week. So it was insane. Like it doesn't even compute yet. But I think girls were just so hungry for it. And still behind our product mission is bringing product that's both performance and trend inspired. And I think with what we've been bringing to the market, it perfectly encapsulates that mission. And I think girls are really responding to it. So I'm obsessed with every ski product we've brought out. And my surprise of the season was the Ice Whip collection that I was initially a hater on, I will admit. And then it came to life in the studio and I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like just looking at it, the design of it is so thoughtful. You just like don't see that in a lot of other ski wear. Like I just can't really think of anything that like immediately comes to mind. I mean, like I've grown up skiing my whole life and I'm an avid skier and spent time just skiing out in Salt Lake for 2 winters. And like I mean, I think it's like you have like your Arc'teryx, which is like, okay, like it's kind of this fun, like gorp-core style, but then there's still room for improvement, especially like with the female body too. It's just like you want it to feel fun and cool and like look good. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think too with skiing in particular, I think like both skiing and climbing, like the movements themselves are so unique. And so like being able to bring a product that like elevates that, I just think is like very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um, Do you guys like, so I'm curious from kind of just like the founder side of all of this. It is so not easy to start a small business. And so, like, yeah, what are some of the things that you do to kind of just like be able to keep functioning and like not burn out on this?
It's kind of impossible. The real answer is it's impossible not to burn out sometimes. Like it does happen. And I think what me personally, and I feel like Tina as well, probably like what we're trying to get better at is like recognizing when we're on the brink of burnout and being like, okay, what can we do to prevent that happening? But I think for me, like moving my body is my number one priority every day, whether it's even just going for a walk, but I'm a big CrossFit person. So I go to CrossFit 5 days a week. And if I'm not doing that, I'm trying to move somehow. And that is definitely something that keeps me sane and helps my mental health as we're doing this. But yeah, I think it's kind of impossible not to burn out when your like blood, sweat, and tears are pouring into something at max capacity every single day.
Yeah. I think also too, it's like we have chosen a journey that like we've chosen this intense workload, and so it's like how do you inject fun into it because the workload's not going anywhere. Um, so whether it's things like finding fun places to work together and like getting out of the house, or I don't know, having a happy hour over some meetings, or like putting fun random meetings on the calendars with the teams that are like light and not necessarily like so down to business, or like we've been doing like guessing contests about sales lately. So
Can you win a
Like that.
lipstick?
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's like we chose this life, so there's no running from it, but yeah, it's like trying to make it as fun as possible and enjoy it because it's changing every day. I mean, it's crazy. It feels like we're growing up so fast. So,
Well, and I mean, I think that's part of it of like, yeah, like you do choose this life when you're doing this, but like, what was it? I think, I mean, you were saying kind of like with the ACL tear and coming from backcountry, but like, what was there kind of a specific moment or like time stamp that you guys were like, okay, we need to do this and like hit the ground running with this idea?
yeah.
Yeah, we were on a hike in Salt Lake and we started throwing around like specific product ideas and like the brand started ideating on the brand vision and the mission and like what's missing in the women's outdoor space. And then we sat down. If you've been in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah, I've spent like I was there a bit during that massive winter and
Yes.
then was living there the last 2 winters.
Okay, so we
I
were at
can't, yeah.
Feldman's if you've ever been
Okay.
there.
Yes, I have been there.
And that's where the scenic brand started, was over a Feldman sandwich.
I love it.
Um, and then I think the fall, maybe a few days later, Tina reached out to me and she's like, okay, I think like we should go sit down and like really talk about this. And then our next step was making a business plan. And once we had the business plan in hand, we're like, all right, we have our plan of attack. Like, let's get after this. And after that, it kind of snowballed really quickly. Like our first hire was 2 months later. Our first investor was like a month later. So yeah, we just went for it.
I'm kind of curious too from like brand vision and like creating like scenic world. Like I mean, you've talked about this a lot of like this is kind of the person that we think fits what we're building. But going forward, like like describe like scenic world.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to put into words. There's so much that's visual about it, but when we were building the brand concept, we built out this like consumer profile and we called her Willow. And really at the end of the day, like we were building products and a brand for us that we were craving ourselves. So Maddie and I there's so much of us that are in that customer profile. But the scenic world is, I would say like our key demo is like a young professional, 20 to 30 female. She lives in the cities typically and has to travel to get outdoors most of the time. And yeah, she's the outdoors is a huge part of her life, but it's not her whole personality. So she has a career that she's absolutely passionate about. She has a thriving social life. She's interested in the arts and design, and there's some specific brands that we pull or not brands, but specific designers and artists that we pull inspiration from for every collection.
Oh,
And yeah, I wish I could like pop up we have like literally a scenic world document, and it's like this is the car that she drives. These are the art pieces hanging in her home. This is her favorite snack and her bedding and like her favorite makeup choices. So it's hard to talk about. It's almost like I need to show you visually.
no, I totally get that. It's all in the mind. What are some of the artists that you've like drawn inspiration from?
Yeah. So, Ian Patel is one, and then a lot of David Hockney pieces, some Mark Rothko, we always reference, Beverly Hilson, based in Detroit. And I can send you some of the pieces, but
Yeah, you should send me these and then I can link them in the show notes.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
when I show them to you, you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I can so see like this color palette looked like your spring summer launch," or we're really trying to pull inspiration for colors specifically in places that are not outdoor landscapes because so much, and we know this because we worked in this and we did this ourselves within a bigger company, but so many of the color palettes of outdoor brands are pulled directly from the outdoors, which makes sense in theory, but like it's so overplayed. There's only so many hues. It can get to be kind of tired. And so, yeah, it's really our challenge to try to pull from other sources. And I think that's the reason that our color palette feels so different compared to what's in the market and potentially so fresh because it's not what anyone else is referencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much more I feel like it brings people's eyes in a little bit more. And it's like, hey, this is different. Like this is like a bold statement that we're making.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So when was it that you guys moved back? Because you're both from Columbus. So what was the kind of thought process of did you think about staying in Salt Lake and like building the brand there? Or was it like, no, I think we want to go back home and do this there?
Yeah, I think for us, it like going back to not paying yourself, and we decided not to go the VC route for investors. So a lot of it was bootstrapped and then friends and family investors. So we were building this brand in a really scrappy grassroots way from the jump. And I think like the best thing we ever did was come back home surrounded by friends and family, not only for housing inventory in our parents' basements, but also for like having the emotional support of all of your closest people around you. So, I mean, that I really do think we would have been just crazy out west trying to do it by ourselves without that support system. Um, but also too, like we were able to kind of come back and have a lower cost of living, which was awesome. And that was really helpful in alleviating some of that financial pressure as we were trying to get the business off the ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, looking forward, though, we have a pretty good feeling that the way the business is trending and growing, we'll need to establish roots somewhere, and hopefully that will be in some sort of mountain town, or we'll be able to access trails and resorts to ski and test and really build out our product. Because in Ohio, it can tend to be difficult to actually that's not the garments that we're building, but we do lots of travel and we have our community constantly giving feedback and field testing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we decide to plant roots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, what has kind of the travel element of this been for you guys? Is it a lot of travel for meetings? Is it a lot of like being on the ground at events?
Yeah.
All of the
All of the
above.
above. Yep.
Yeah, like our first year, I don't even, what would you say for our event count?
I
Like we
think it
did
was
so
close
many
to
events.
40. We didn't
Oh
hit
my
all 40, but
gosh.
I think we might have hit like at near the 20 mark throughout the year.
Wow. What kinds of events were they?
Mainly hike community events. So hike meetups, and we would gift some sort of swag and kit out the hike leader that day wearing scenic. We also went to something called Outside Festival in Denver, which have you heard of?
I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like a South by Southwest, but for the outdoor industry. Um, the first year of the festival was the year that we signed up, and it was an amazing experience where we really got to meet the Denver community for the first time in person and expose them to the brand because we were able to set up a booth and sell our product. So that was an event that we went to. Maddie did a pitch fest solo, and then we did a pitch fest together that first year. So it was a bunch of different types of things.
Were the hike ones like with the community side of it? Was it like partnering with like groups that were already there, or was it kind of like coming in and being like, hey, like we're gonna be here, we're doing like a more specific scenic hike?
For the first half of the year, since we were brand new, we were partnering with existing hiking clubs and communities just because we hadn't built a community of our own yet. But I would say, like, by the time end of summer, fall rolled around, we did start to do scenic specific hikes, and then we would partner with a footwear partner to gift girls, and sort of like confirm that they would actually come and show up to the event to pick up a footwear piece. So we hosted an event, a hike event that first year with Teva and Merrill.
Mhm. That's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, a
Do you
mix of both, like scenic specific events, partnering with other communities, or even partnering with like larger brands.
Do you have some events from this last year that you're like, okay, that's what we're like, are you taking a lot of that into this next year? Like what were some of the ones that you were like, okay, this is working like really well and we're super excited about it?
Yeah. So in this year we launched our formal community program, what we call Clarity Club.
Oh, is this on the website?
This is, yeah. And it's
Oh.
also on our Instagram. But yeah, the whole intention is again to empower women to get outdoors for their mental health and sort of
Mm-hmm.
help us find clarity outdoors. So we have a handful of ambassadors throughout the country that helped us launch this community program. And right now we pared back the events this year. So that first year of the brand, we hosted around 40 events. This year, we tried to focus on just one event a month and making sure that they're really meaningful and impactful events. And I would say that strategy has been wonderful. And it's so much more intentional being able to like build a really great quality of event versus like having a high quantity, but that are lower quality. Um, so yeah, we're hoping to continue to expand our ambassadors and just keep building the Clarity Club community.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Do you have favorite mountain towns? You're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up skiing in Snowmass. Like that's where I've gone since I was 2 or 3. So that one is definitely just like hands down nostalgic and my favorite for that reason. And then I'm also such a big fan of Park City after living there. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. When we worked at Backcountry, we lived in Salt Lake, and then we would drive into the mountains to go to the office in Park City every morning. And it was the most beautiful drive. Like you would come in as the sun was rising over the mountaintops, and that was like one of my favorite simple parts of living in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Salt Lake is definitely a fave. I had the opportunity to visit Breckenridge for the first time last winter, and it was insane. It was the day before they do like the world's longest shot ski. So like and I didn't get to stay for that, but it was the coolest. Like you could just feel it just feels like a big party. That whole town was just like buzzing. So I love that. Love that too. Love Aspen. There's never a dull day in Aspen.
I imagine you're getting so many outside voices of people that are like, this is what you should be doing. Like, this is how I built my business. Like, what are some tips and tricks that people have maybe like on one side have been really helpful, and then on the other side that you've kind of just been like, no, like we need to trust our gut with this and do our own thing.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that we've found is like It's most useful to get advice when you have a specific kind of obstacle in your business that you're looking for a solve for. And it could be something like as simple as like cash flow tools, or like how are you financing your purchase orders, or um like how would you structure a team at our revenue size for marketing, like that kind of thing, when you go in with a pointed uh need. Where we've found that it's not maybe the best time to get advice is when you're kind of about to launch like a new product, or you're going through with one of your main strategies that you feel is a part of like the scenic brand and the vision and your trajectory forward. So we've had a lot of people kind of try and advise us against certain decisions when it comes to product specifically or branding, and like almost a bit contrary to our mission. So those are times when we have to just say thank you, but no thank you, and trust our gut. But then we have so many mentors who are amazing with helping with more pointed problems, or, things we've never done before. How to structure a wholesale team, like what commission do you give a wholesale rep, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And to give you specifics too, to build on that, like, I mean, people are so against working with friends. I think there's so much advice to like not start a business with your friend. But I do think that's like our secret sauce and why Scenic has seen so much growth so quickly. So that'd be a piece of advice that I'd like redline. So if you're considering it, whoever's listening, I say go for it. Start the business with your friend. It's the best thing in the world. Um, Also like raising money quickly, and a lot of money off the bat. It was advice that we were pushed into and didn't feel right for us, how we wanted to grow the brand and continue to operate it. So also like, yeah, just getting super clear on your vision and what you want out of this experience and what your dreams are to build, and kind of protecting that bubble are two things that we kind of ignored, pieces of advice we ignored. And then I do think like a piece of advice that has been really helpful, that I actually just got this piece of advice last week, but I'm like, wow, I feel like this saved me. Good. Now I'm gonna like carry this very closely to my heart. But is like just making sure that you are injecting as much of yourself into the branding and the product as possible. Like as long as it feels like you will win. And I think at the beginning of a business, that's typically the way things organically unfold, right? It's like you're building for you. You don't have many voices or a big team. So really you are building the world. But I think in the scale up phase, it's probably harder to protect that. And I think that was an amazing piece of advice that I was like, holy shit, that kind of like changed my brain chemistry hearing that. So
I have another thing that I thought of from the beginning
yeah.
that we ignored. Someone told us, like, so there's a lot of advice out there saying, like, if you really want to be serious about your business, quit your job and go. And then we had someone in the beginning tell us not to do that and don't put yourself under the pressure and all that kind of thing. And we did have like side jobs leading
Hmm.
up to launch, but once it was ready to launch the business, we went all in before we had any sales history. And I think that also was a secret sauce.
Yeah,
There's no way we could have spent any less time working than we did to have the results we've had. So I think you should go for it.
for sure.
Well, and I feel like that too just leans into kind of your point that you were making earlier too, of like, I mean, you had the vision. It's like, okay, once you have the vision, and really at that point, it's really just like the time and investment is what you need to make it happen. And so if you can be the ones that are doing that, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I think from the jump, that was something that was so clear to us off the bat, was the vision for the brand and the product and where we saw ourselves in 5, 10, 100 years. So I think like sometimes we meet entrepreneurs who are wanting to start something, they don't really know what, but they just want to start a business. And I think secret sauce too has been being so crystal clear on those three things off the rip.
Hmm. Where do you hope to where do you hope to see it in 5 years?
Oh, so
I
many
feel like
places.
there's like so many different like buckets to this question.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely want Scenic to be a household name and sort of like the go-to industry leader for women's outdoor product.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think we'll always stay pretty focused on the hike, climb, and ski categories, but just continuing to build out all of the product offerings within those sports. So whether it's like staying in the soft goods apparel realm or maybe even dipping our toe into new categories like bags and travel,
Ooh.
maybe footwear someday, maybe some sort of beauty or personal care. I just think like our goal is to have the ability to build our customers' entire gear closet from head to toe. So that's the big vision. And
Hopefully
also,
at the headquarters.
yeah, yes.
What are the steps that you have to get to before you can have a headquarters?
Good
I
question.
think I think for us it's like always go back and forth. We both love being in person and working in person with our team, and I think it's so productive not only for, business, but also just culturally. I think it's really important to have that FaceTime. Um, but I think one benefit to not doing that for a bit is giving our team flexibility. So we have a team all over the country. And that's one of the things they love about their job in most cases. So I think that's
Yeah.
part of it. And then we're still a pretty small team. So
Yeah,
it's
who
not
all is on the
doing
team right now?
we have a little design team, small but mighty, and they do so much incredible work with such a small team. It's mind blowing to us. But we have a designer, our head of design, Georgia, who's been with us from the start of the business and was our first hire. And then we have a tech designer. And then on the wholesale side, we have a wholesale manager. We're in the process of hiring some reps, which will be awesome. We have an operations manager who joined the team a couple months ago, and she's been
Okay,
an
wow.
amazing
Yeah.
asset. And then we have a few freelancers. We have Miss Abby, who is the most incredible graphic designer fresh out of college,
Mm.
but this
Mm-hmm.
feels like she's been in the business forever. She's so good.
Did she
Um,
make your guys' logo?
no,
Okay. I love the logo.
Graphic designer based in Boulder for
Okay.
yeah.
It is a solid logo. I feel like it
Oh,
was just like, it's like so perfectly on point for like everything right now.
thank you. We love it too.
Okay, wrapping up a little bit, what what has been like one of your favorite scenic moments in the last like 2 months? Especially you kind of have had this launch, but yeah, what's been like a high?
the ski launch this week, like I just, yeah, I was blown away by how many people were on our site waiting to purchase, like at 11 when we dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we were like 80% sold through in a few days is crazy. We were like nervous about how much we bought. So to sell through that quickly was, amazing. And we're so excited to hopefully have more in stock next year. But yeah, that was a big one recently.
Mine would be the day we launched the Ice Whip kit 2 weeks ago. It's a cool story because Georgia and I were supposed to actually go to China and do some vendor visits, and we weren't able to get our visas on time. So, because we ended up canceling that trip, which opened up a few days before the launch for Georgia to actually take the ski kit and go out to Washington. They just had a little bit of snow last 2 weeks ago.
Oh
And
yeah, we did. I was I
yeah,
was I was out there in the backcountry. It
I
was
was sick.
rad.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was this weird, like, serendipitous thing because we were like scrambling to figure out who the hell was going to shoot the campaign, and like we were having
Yeah.
trouble finding people, and that
Okay.
felt right. And then our trip fell through, and last minute we were like, oh my God, Georgia, what if you go and shoot it? And like you've probably seen the imagery, but there's just something so magic about like the human who created the design getting to like bring it out to the backcountry, field test it, also like show it to the world, wear it herself. So that drop had like so much soul to it to me, and the sales rate was it was insane to see the response. It felt like every piece of content we posted about it went semi-viral or viral, and the feedback was amazing. So it was a total high.
Okay, what words of advice do you have to leave people on today?
I think if you're starting a business, this is what I tell everyone. I think the most important thing to do is make sure you're solving a problem with whatever you're bringing into the world. I think it's really easy to kind of produce more, whether it's apparel, footwear, drinks, whatever. But as long as you're solving a problem, you already are 10 steps ahead of everyone else because it's needed in the market then.
I think the piece of advice I would love to leave with the community is do the thing that scares you the most. That is my biggest advice. I think like fear needs a rebrand, and it's like that, like fear is actually where the growth is, as long as there's safety involved, like
I like that. I like that a lot.
Starting a business or in your career, your personal pursuits and passions, I think do the things that scare you, and your life will just transform in ways that you did not even imagine possible.
Mm-hmm. And then where can people find you on Instagram, website, etc.?
They can find us our Instagram is at SENIQ, scenic. We are freshly on TikTok. We have a Substack. We have a handful of shorts on YouTube. And then our website is scenicbrand.com, SENIQ brand.com. And then all of our wonderful retail partners will also be stocking the ski collection in a few weeks. It should hit the floor.
Thank you so much for listening today. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to stay tuned to all things Wander, we are Wander Studios on Instagram, and make sure to check out the show notes to find out everything else that you need to know about Scenic. I hope that everyone has a lovely rest of their week.